So, do you want to be that one person who is literally 5 steps ahead of his competition? Do you want to be that person who, when he reads a book, he can literally read half of it in one sitting? Or do you want to be that person who can watch a 2-hour podcast without getting distracted? In life, when you want to achieve something, most of the time it's very difficult, especially if it's something like very valuable. But if you look at it strategically, there are many ways how you can achieve something in a different way. It can be a fun way as well. Why not use that one element that games provide, which is the fun element? There are many games out there that are most of the time completely useless. They are just a waste of time. You play them just for the dopamine, but there are also games that have a very positive side effect, or actually many of them. For example, chess is one of those games. You can use these games to level up certain parts of your life. As I mentioned at the beginning, those are just some of those parts which you can level up. So the first one is attention. By playing chess, you can increase your attention span, as well as you can increase your focus, you can increase your memory. And one of the most important points, which is also something that I can relate to from real life, is that you will think many steps ahead, or at least 2 steps ahead, to be somewhat realistic. Because that's the main thing which you actually use when you play chess. Of course, there are many ways how you can play chess. You can play it fast-paced, you can play it just for the enjoyment, which is somewhat interconnected with the fast-paced chess, or you can play it for the element of analyzing, planning and critical thinking, which is what I am going to talk about in this video. So first of all, we will start with a simple exercise. You will have 10 words pop up and you will try to remember them as much as possible throughout a given time. Once you do that, I will give you another 10 seconds for you to try to recall those words. You can write them down or just have it in your mind, it doesn't matter. And after those 10 seconds, I will show you the results, the words which you were supposed to remember, and based on that you will know where you stand in terms of focus and memory and so on. So these are the 10 words which you have to remember. Now, write down the starting letter for as many words as you remember. Now I will show you these words once again, and depending on how many you remembered, you will be able to know where you stand basically, how you're doing in terms of attention, focus and so on, as I mentioned. And so chess is a wonderful game because there have been many studies done that prove that chess literally improves attention span, it improves focus. There has even been a study that showcased that it reduces the symptoms of ADHD, and even one study suggested or showed that it improves reading, which is somewhat surprising. And that's why I decided to make this video, because we are going to use the game element, which is the fun element of games, whilst also having the positive side effects of it. And I think chess is a perfect game for that, because you can play it in a way that it doesn't really make it that stimulating, and it gives off those positive side effects. So we are not going to play fast-paced chess, but literally when you play it, you will try to think many steps ahead, as many steps as you possibly can. So whilst thinking, if you move that certain piece to that certain location, if you are going to be able to attack your opponent, or if he is going to be able to use your move for his own advantage, and just think few steps ahead. And whilst you do that, you literally analyze your game, and when you do that you will gain those benefits. Because if you play just for the sake of enjoyment and fun, then it won't have those benefits. At least it won't be visible. If you play fast-paced chess, you won't analyze, you won't plan ahead, you will lose those benefits. And if you want to implement this strategy of using chess for your own advantage, you have to think of this one more thing, which is you can't play it for a very long time. So I would say 30 minutes at max every day is the best choice to go for. Then, if you don't like having a time limit, you can play 1 to 3 games every day. You shouldn't move past those limits, because then you will play just for the sake of enjoyment and it will be a waste of time. You have to remember that reading a book is still much better than playing chess, but we are using chess just for the sake of the enjoyment with the combination of the positive side effects. So if you are going to play chess for 2 hours every day, or 2 hours, I don't know, every second day, that it just won't have the same benefits, because then you could have spent 1.5 hours doing something much more productive instead of playing chess. So I would say 30 minutes is the best, or playing 1 to 3 games each day. And the most important key element of this is to do it consistently throughout a long period of time, because those studies have shown that if you play chess for, I don't know, 2 hours, but just per week during one day, then you won't have those benefits. Also, if you play chess just once and have literally just one session, then you won't see those benefits as well. So the key point here is to play it consistently throughout a long period of time. And also, why you shouldn't play longer than 30 minutes is so that you won't become annoyed or bored of it. So just go with that time limit, or with the limit of 1 to 3 games. Also, another huge thing for this strategy is that chess is literally free on the internet, and you can play it against bots, which means that you can choose a bot which is somewhat difficult, that you can't really beat, and play with him until you will be able to come up with a strategy for you to beat him. So how does it actually transfer to real life? Once you play chess for about a month, and throughout that month you will actually try to keep that in mind, the fact that you have to analyze each situation and try to think of as many outcomes that could arise from that situation, then you will be able to develop a skill which will automatically arise whenever you are in a situation where you are able to decide between several paths which you can take. That means, if somebody asks you if you want to go and have a dinner with them, in that exact moment you will be able to come up with as many outcomes as you possibly can in that amount of time. Which means what would happen if you said no, as well as what would happen if you said yes, or if you postponed the invitation for or to another day. And that is a very valuable skill, because you will be able to decide or make the best decisions possible throughout that short period of time that you have between their question and your reply. And that is one skill which will most certainly arise from you playing chess, as well as it's a skill which will be like the most visible, because you can't really track how well your reading skills will develop through playing chess, or how your critical thinking or planning will develop. The only skill which is like very visible from it is that your skill of coming up with as many possible paths that you can choose will become a habit, which means you will be able to implement it on literally daily basis without even thinking much about it. It will somewhat like engrave into your subconscious mind, so that you won't even have to actively think of using that technique, and it will just automatically pop up whenever you find yourself in that situation which I mentioned at the beginning. And it's an invaluable skill which I think is something you must have, especially if you are trying to network with people, or if you are trying to build connections with other people in general. And so if you liked what I was talking about, it probably wasn't like the best video that I have made, it's because it's somewhat like a test version. But if you have resonated with the message, or you liked this style of content, then you can comment it down below. After that you can check the first link in the description, where we will hop on a short call, which will be a friendly call. We will discuss my coaching program, and it's still in a test version. I just want to test how it will work, if I am actually capable of doing it, so you can catch a very nice deal. And afterwards, if you want to learn something else, you can watch this video next.